I was 3 when I first learned English. I was a loud and bubbly kid who would never stop talking. So you could only imagine my excitement on the first day of school. My mom tells me that I insisted my aunt drive to our house to do my hair. I didn't let anyone else touch my hair. I was also a brat. So with my hair in pigtails and my new backpack, I practically skipped the whole way to school. Other kids were crying, holding on to their parents, but I walked into the daycare without sparing my parents another glance. I introduced myself to the other kids by choppily linking the few phrases I knew together. Immediately, my excitement of making new friends disappeared, as I realized I couldn't effectively communicate with anyone. It was that day when I unknowingly made the decision to abandon everything I knew to pursue a different and conventional lifestyle. It was also the first time I submitted to social demands. My parents knew I would eventually learn English, but they were afraid I'd lose everything that they had already left behind in India, years before I was even born. I learned English, but with that I unconsciously chose to neglect the values my parents worked so hard to instill in me. It's interesting to see how we think maturity is transforming from unfiltered toddlers to disciplined adults, when in reality, it's a social barrier being lifted, impeding on our free speech and thoughts. Some are more impressionable than others. I guess I had always believed that it would be easier to say yes than face the consequences of saying no. In some ways, I am the same little girl eagerly anticipating my first day of school. But in many ways, I'm completely different. Now, there's restraint in everything I do. But I couldn't change that. It's become a part of me that I've learned to accept. Although the free-spirited younger version of myself would disapprove, it's a trait that I've developed through a series of yeses and rarely ever any nos. But that's what exposure to the world does. It doesn't necessarily improve us. It just teaches us to conform. As a result, in high school, I began taking on a rigorous academic workload because I saw everyone do the same. I could never formulate a proper answer when others asked me about my future plans. I didn't know what I wanted. I only knew what others wanted of me. Learning English created many opportunities for me. It introduced me to my love of reading and it increased my confidence. But the sacrifices I made started my lifelong habit of surrendering to other people's expectations of me. On my 16th birthday, my grandpa sat me down and explained to me how small we actually were in comparison to the universe, and how our actions were even smaller. He told me it was useless to please others when the only lasting impact we have is the one that we have on ourselves and the legacy we choose to leave behind. He said that light years away, stars were collapsing, and in the grand scheme of things, the dreams we find to be completely unattainable and reckless would not cost the universe anything. He taught me to pursue the truest form of myself because the fear of social commentary was so incredibly small and irrelevant to stop us from trying. He showed me that we had a choice, to be happy or to be compliant. I now see the importance of having a proper grasp on your character, to resist conforming to foreign values. Oftentimes, the imaginary critics in our head hold us back, keeping us from reaching our fullest potential. However, once we acknowledge this and release ourselves from this pointless cycle, we can succeed as confident and authentic individuals. We can succeed and leave a noticeable footprint in the world.